All right. That was wonderful. I've learned a lot today. Man, it may prove everything that I'm about to say wrong, unfortunately. International shipping, it seems that the topic has fallen to me. I have drawn the short eel. It is a slippery and convoluted subject, to say the least. It is a very, very evasive subject. Just when I think I have it, it slips away. The topic has burned me before. A couple of years ago, I shipped several pieces to a show for exhibition only at a university in Japan. I dotted all my I's, shipped by FedEx, crossed my T's. On the return home, coming into the States, it cost me $250 to ransom my work from U.S. Customs. There was absolutely nothing that I could say or do. The problems with international shipping are like the problems with domestic shipping in that we're worried about loss and damage. But there are two more things we're worried about with international shipping, and that is seizure by a foreign country or even our country, or duties and something called value-added taxes and tariffs, which can be almost 50% of the declared value. It is pretty big stuff. This is the first hurdle. It's really important that there's kind of two scenarios. One is that you're shipping work for exhibition only. The other scenario is that you're shipping work that's sold. If you are shipping work that is sold to a client or gallery in a foreign country, it's really important that the person that receives this understands fully that any duties, any taxes, any tariffs are their responsibility. It can't fall back onto you. The other problem is the variety in countries. This is unbelievable. First of all, what is allowed and prohibited? Secondly, rates of custom duty, value-added taxes, and the maximum insurance that any carrier will cover varies from country to country. As a scenario, I started talking, we did a lot of research. I can't tell you how much research we've done. And I started talking to people like the post office. And I said, well, I'm shipping work to Thailand, in a month. Let's just say I'm going to ship a few pieces for an exhibition to Thailand, which is actually the truth. And we started going through it, and we came out with that white bit on top. And there are actually prohibited items, including jewelry, loose stones, and raw metal. Whether you're shipping for sale or shipping for exhibition, you'll probably end up needing what's called a commercial invoice. What people kept telling me over and over again is you want to have at least 4 copies of the commercial invoice. And you can find these online. The two important things in the commercial invoice are something called the harmonized code. This was like Mandarin Chinese when I first heard this. Harmonized code? What the hell's a harmonized code? And I started looking for it, and I came up with this definition of a harmonized code. Allow me to read for 1 second. An internationally standardized system of names and numbers for classifying traded products developed and maintained by the World Customs Organization. It's really important which harmonized code you choose, because that's going to start raising some eyebrows. The other thing you want to think about are how you describe your contents. Very, very important. The whole idea is not to raise red flags. The most common descriptor that most people use for international shipping is the word samples. Decorative objects is a whole other one. Small sculpture is another thing. In the bright yellow that you see, other people have said, I always call it jewelry, costume jewelry. And this is what it is. Everybody has a different way of doing things. Some people sacrifice a chicken. It's such a bizarre and convoluted way to go. Personal adornment are 2 other really popular ways to describe your work. If you are shipping work for exhibition only, there is something called an ATA carnet. An ATA carnet is a merchandise passport for the temporary import of exhibition and trade for items into another country. There are about 75 signatory countries onto an ATA carnet. It lasts for about a year. Problem is that it can be quite expensive. It's best used with an agent, like an art carnet. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Art carnets can be a little slippery. ATA carnets, you cannot use them with the USPS, United States Postal Service. They're kind of tricky you can obtain one yourself, but it's best obtained through a broker of some sort, which I'll get to in a second. The problem with ATA carnets, the advantage is that they really smooth things out. You will not be charged any tariffs. If the work does sell, which happens sometimes, then you will be responsible for a tariff. But if it's just going in and out for an exhibition, clears the way. The problem is they start at $300, and that does not include the price of shipping and insurance. Here's some terms that I came across. Carriers, of course. We all know the big carriers, UPS, FedEx, DHL and USPS, United States Postal Service. Custom brokers are another one. These are great. These are experts at navigating the tricky waters. They know what is prohibited. They know how to phrase things. They know the appropriate paperwork. They do not ship. They have to partner with a shipper. Then there's freight forwarders who can act as custom brokers, from what I understand, and they can act as shippers. And of course, we have shipper insurers. Parcel Pro, which is one of my personal favorites. G4S is another one. These guys have international divisions, and they can help you. The shipping carriers, the big three. UPS, DHL. Again, SNAG is not endorsing or disendorsing any of these. The three big carriers, UPS, DHL, and FedEx, are almost guaranteed to raise a red flag at Customs. If you're using them, Customs is going to take a close look. The two most popular shippers of everybody that I talk to for shipping internationally are FedEx and the good old United States Postal Service. FedEx is trackable, you've all heard that, and insurable. Of course, maximum insurance value is going to vary by country. Most services are up to 150 pounds. It can be used as simply a carrier, or it could be a one service, one fits all. Problem with FedEx and UPS, domestically or internationally, is that they can be dicey insurance-wise. Before I forget, I want to just tell you a quick little story about this varied rejection and acceptance from different countries. I was talking to a supplier who sells beautiful oak benches. And in order to ship those oak benches, they ship them all over the place, to Australia, those have to be, they usually ship them in a large crate on a pallet in a cardboard crate, has to come in a plastic crate. The bench has to be fumigated, and the pallet has to be heat treated. All documented, all at high cost, all added to the price of the bench without shipping or insurance. So it's really dicey stuff. Another carrier, again, is the United States Postal Service. The two most favorite services are Global Express Guaranteed, 1 to 3 business days. You get an automatic $100. On-time delivery is guaranteed. You can add insurance to that if you want. Priority Mail International, a little slower. This is the overwhelming favorite, because this is the little dirty secret I think that somebody mentioned. The Global Express Guaranteed is shipped through their shipping partner, FedEx. It's going to raise a red flag. So really that last one, Priority Mail International, you insure it, is probably the best way to go. There's another little service called Indicia. And Indicia is you pay for the privilege of using them, and they will give you they'll give you software on your desktop that will smooth the way, all the forms, everything you need for international shipping through the United States Postal Service. So we have some tips for you. Consistency. All terms on every scrap of paper. That's your trail. They've got to match. If they hold you up in customs, you can't give them one piece of paper that says $100 and one piece of paper that says $1,000. You've got to be consistent. The next tip was always be honest. Declare correct information. If possible, this is a good one, ship to a residence. You're much less likely to raise red flags if you ship to a residence. Risk versus cost. If you're going to be above board and do everything by the book, it's going to cost you. And you know what? It's going to cost you both ways, into the States and out of the States, either for a carnet or for the taxes and duties. You can ship work for exhibition in, pay all the appropriate duties to each individual country, and receive that back. But believe me, the amount of paperwork and time you're going to be spending on that probably is not worth getting it back. So I'm kind of left with this dilemma in the fall when I have to ship to Thailand. And what am I going to do? I mean, I tried to do it the right way once, and I got burnt really badly. So the way I'm going to do it, probably, just me, is I'm probably going to use the United States Postal Service, ship to a residence, and I'm going to have a low insurance value on it. Of course, I may have somebody disagreeing. I've been burnt the other way, and overwhelmingly, what I have heard anecdotally that people do is the United States Postal Service, low insurance, ship to a residence. So that's kind of it. That's what I was able to do.
A very popular part of PDS is always the Q&A at the very end. And I would like to invite Melanie Egan and Paul McClure to step up to the microphone and start off with first questions. Melanie Egan and Paul McClure are co-chairing the Toronto conference for SNAG next year.
We have a few things we were going to talk about shipping to Canada, and if you're going to have work in an exhibition at our conference next year. There's a couple of scenarios. Most of the work that's going to come in will be for exhibition purposes only, and that's relatively, there's a lot of paperwork, but it's relatively simple to get the work in and get it back to you without, as happened to Andy, without you having to pay to get your own work back. The exact same thing has happened to me. Shipped work to England and came back and had to pay $1,000 and ended up having to go in front of a judge to get the work back. And the reason was because I didn't do it properly. Basically, there's, as we know from today, there's the shipper, the insurer, the broker, and the customs. And when, most of our experience is shipping work out of Canada, but from the research I've done, it's relatively similar for bringing work, doing the same thing for Americans shipping to Canada. As a guideline, you're going to have 3 to 4 copies of all of these 4 things, and you're going to do it twice. So you're going to have all of these things that are going to be on the outside of the box in a plastic folder, and then you're going to also have the exact same thing on the inside of the box with an extra plastic folder. You can't really ever trust that the person or the museum or the gallery or the shop or whatever is going to send it back properly. So if you have all the exact information on how to ship it back to you, including that plastic piece, that plastic envelope, then you have a better chance that U.S. Customs, when it comes back in, won't question it and it'll pass through. So those things are 3 or 4 copies of each of the following. One is a NAFTA Certificate of Origin, North American Free Trade Association Agreement Certificate of Origin, the commercial invoice, the Certificate of U.S. Origin, meaning that it's manufactured or made in the United States, and the last one is a photocopy of the original waybill from exporting. The waybill is like from Federal Express or UPS or however it's been shipped, that once you've filled that all in, to have a photocopy of it inside the package. So there's one more level of U.S. Customs going, right, this is the same box going back out of the country. It's just another level of proof. Number 3 was the Certificate of U.S. Origin. Our best experiences are Parcel Pro, hands down, 100%. Parcel Pro is amazing. So that's sort of a little bit of information about what you need to ship out. Now this is all, again, for work that is going to be imported for temporary exhibition and then exported back into the United States.
And that's kind of one of the key things. For example, there's going to be an international exhibition at Harbourfront Centre. You won't be exporting your work to me if you're chosen for that exhibition. I'm going to be importing it. I'm going to be doing all the paperwork. I'm going to be responsible for all those fees. So basically what we do at Harbourfront Centre, because we have a broker, we have a very lovely woman at Canada Customs that we deal with all the time. So what I would do for the people that would be in that particular exhibition is I would send you these forms. I would tell you exactly what to do. You would fill them out. You would put them in your box. But the onus is on Harbourfront Centre. The onus is on me because I'm importing an exhibition. You are not exporting your work to me. So that's the difference. Not all galleries have that kind of arrangement, so you would be exporting your work to them. So some of the forms, and it's just a bit of, the way you fill out the form and how you sort of declare things.
Yeah, the trunk show question. We don't have answers to that yet. It's very complicated. When you're importing or exporting, well, both, exporting and importing work that's for sale, you have another layer which are called taxes on top of that, and getting business numbers and all of that sort of business. So unfortunately, yeah, we don't have detailed information about that yet, but that will be forthcoming. To clarify what Melanie was saying, we're planning a juried SNAG exhibition held at Harbourfront Centre. Harbourfront Centre is similar to what we saw last night, the Meza Arts Centre, so that we'll have a number of exhibitions in one location, which is a 5-minute walk from the hotel, so it's really great. One of the exhibitions will be an international SNAG juried exhibition. Members. Yeah. So it'll cover work from United States, Mexico, and Canada. That exhibition was what Melanie was referring to. It's great when you have an organization like Harbourfront Centre or a large museum that takes care of all the shipping for you. However, there are over 30 exhibitions planned for Toronto, and so you may end up showing work in a private gallery or another group that's not part of SNAG or not part of the organizers of the conference, the co-hosts. And in those circumstances, it's just very important that you communicate really well with that venue. And like I said, the best advice is don't assume that a venue in Canada or anywhere is going to send your work back the way it has to be sent back for your customs, for American customs regulations. It's really your responsibility. Make sure that you have all those documents inside the box so that they're on the outside of the return box so that you're covered and you're not going to get slammed with a customs fee.
This concludes the International Shipping Issues presentation by Andy Cooperman. There are a total of 7 SlideShare presentations from the 2012 SNAG Professional Development Seminar. The presentations include Horror Stories, Packing and Shipping Recommendations by Layla Hamden, Insurance Considerations for Safe Shipping of Jewelry by Tina Pint of Jewelers Mutual. This presentation covers the issues surrounding shipping jewelry from precious metals, loose gemstones, and high-value items. Packing One-of-a-Kind Artwork for Shipping by Harriete Estelle Berman includes a step-by-step tutorial for making a custom-made shipping box. There is also a matching 4-page PDF handout in the professional guideline. Shipping Comparisons by Loring Taoka includes shipping costs and insurance comparisons with common carriers. There are 3 different scenarios, with 3 different size boxes, different insurance values, so you can compare shipping from Seattle to Pittsburgh with a price comparison for common carriers. There is also a great handout which is essential to understand the information and the shipping costs and possible insurance coverage for shipping your boxes. Shipping Large Sculpture by Kim Cridler offers advice for shipping large sculpture and alternatives to art shippers for shipping more economically. Kim Cridler also wrote a 2-page handout for thinking outside the box, with less than truckload shipping and more unusual shipping options. If Shipping Goes Wrong, It Really Goes Wrong by Bridget Martin shares her experience as a gallery owner with a shipping disaster. Quick Thinking, documenting the crate conditions in the truck, insisting on the cooperation from the truck driver, saved the day. Learn from her experience so you are prepared. All of the PowerPoint presentations and handouts about shipping will be available on the SNAG website on the Professional Development Seminar page. In addition, PowerPoint presentations from the past 2 years, along with handouts from the past 7 years, are also available. All of this professional development seminar information is also available on the website for Harriete Estelle Berman at the URL on this slide. Additional information about shipping and professional development can also be found in the professional guidelines at the URL on this slide. Ask Harriete offers additional information about shipping from production to one-of-a-kind work. You can find this information along with additional updates and SlideShare presentations at the URL at the bottom of this slide. These resources are available so artists and makers can learn to be better advocates for themselves and their arts community. Please feel welcome to share this information with your fellow artists, makers, and arts organizations. Thank you for listening.